Have you ever wondered what was out there in the night sky? Stared up at the stars in the hopes of seeing something out of the ordinary? Have you heard unexplainable noises coming from a vacant room, or watched a shadow cross the wall in front of you? Have you asked yourself if there is life after this one, or if you had life before? What about strange creatures that are mythical and elusive? Have you experienced deja vu or felt a prompting to leave because you felt you were in danger? If you have, you were on the fringe.
Welcome to another fascinating episode of On the Fringe. I'm Mark.
I'm Pam.
And I'm Notebooks.
I mean, you are. I do like the subtitle,
also
Organized Chaos.
Yep. Well, we spoke about that last time, so.
I do have a question.
What's that?
There we go. I was going to say I have a black screen. Now
you froze for a second.
Did I? Was I like?
Yeah. Well, I'm thinking
the one-eye thing?
Because all the rain we've had is messing with the internet.
Yeah.
So I think.
So if you see us, you know it'll be the worst pose possible, where we're all like.
Yeah, look at my console. So. Well, hello everybody in the chats. I see Tony's here and Enzo. Hi guys. My lovely wife is on here. So, yay.
Yes.
So, this is part 2 of our last episode where we were talking about the mega structures and the Texas, the wall. And we're going to talk about more out of place structures and stuff from around the world and see where it takes us. So, you want to start, or you want me to go with my first one?
We'll go with your first one.
All right, I got.
We'll just take turns because there's tons.
Punka. Yes, in Bolivia. Now, let me see if I can get this up here on the screen because I am a internet retard. Oops, sorry, I shouldn't use that word. Scratch that. I'm an internet idiot. It's sad, really. Yeah, here are some images from Puma Punka. They're famous for these H-shaped stones that they kind of fit together like Legos. The material they're made of is super hard and hard to work with. So a lot of people say that this is done by machining. Other people say it was done with abrasives and lots of labor. I really don't know, but look at these.
The precision. If it's the one I'm thinking of, and I'm pretty sure it is. You can't even slide a piece of paper between the stones.
Where they're still put together, yeah, they're pretty different. And this is in, like I said, Bolivia, and it's kind of in a high desert area. It's kind of remote, so they're not.
That's always been one of my favorites.
It is, and it's neat. And I've heard all the stuff, the fringe theory that it was an advanced lost civilization. Well, I would say that it is probably mainstream view is that it was built by the Tiwanaku civilization between 300 and 1000 And they say that it was achieved with stone tools and abrasives. I'm not sure that they did that. I mean,
Yeah.
this stuff is made out of what is that stuff? Can't even remember what the stuff is made out of. But it's not easy to work with. I lost my note about what that stuff was made out of.
Is it like that concrete?
No, it's
Something
not
akin to concrete?
It's
Because I thought there was rumors that there was no chisel marks or tooling marks whatsoever, and that a lot of people thought that maybe they had been poured into forms, that it was some kind of a like early type of concrete that had been made.
No, they someplace I have pulled up here what mineral it's made out of. It's really hard, and it's really hard to work with. I just can't. Andesite and red sandstone are the two. The sandstone's fairly easy to work with, but if I recall right, andesite is not easy to work with.
Ian has started
I know.
already.
I've been waiting on to hit a point where we could bring it out.
I mean, they could be, landmines for giants. I don't know.
Ian said it's a road sign, extraterrestrial highway.
Is a fine grain, intermediate, extrusive igneous rock, typically gray or black, with porphyric texture, containing paleoglaze feldspar and pyroxene and hornblende. It is an aggregate rock, so I mean it kind of resembles concrete, but it's not easy to work with.
Enzo had a question. He said, I forget, is it just piles of the Lego type blocks, or are there actual structures made out of them?
Mostly it's just the blocks right now. Because it's all kind of I believe there is some walls up.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see if I've got a better picture. Maybe not. I thought I had some better pictures than that.
What was the name of it again? I already forgot.
Puma Punka. Puma Punka.
Puma Punku.
So, well, I'm sure we're
we're all butchering it. It's okay.
Yeah. So then they do have some astonishingly precise stuff. So here's another
There's a
image.
little bit still there.
So there are some, structures, but there's a lot of those H-shaped blocks. So let me see if I've got some more. I don't really have very many pictures here. And I've lost it.
It says, and it's Puma Punku. The structures that are around that's left is a T-shaped platform mound, a sunken court, some plazas and ramps. But much of the monumental structure that was made of those that sat on top is destroyed. It's ruined.
So, I mean, it is pretty out of place. It's not in a very accessible place. There's not a lot of water there. Does not look like an ideal place to have a city. Although, when it was built, there may have been water and stuff there.
More than likely there was.
I mean, honestly, water is what shut down a lot of the civilizations in Mesoamerica. Uh, so a lot of these cities were abandoned because they lost access to fresh water.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much a known thing because we find all these caves that are full of water that were used as ceremonial sites. And so the water tables were much, much lower and not enough to really support um, a lot of the cities and stuff that were extant at that time. So, anyway, that's a neat one. That's one that always comes up because of those stones and how hard they are to work with. It's a volcanic stone. So, all right. What do you got?
Who's going next?
You can go ahead and
I'll
go.
go next.
Go around and go around and go.
Okay. Same as last time, I ended up just staying within the U.S., just the U.S. area of it, because there's just so much. I knew if I went outside of that, I'd be like, what do I pick? So I stayed within the U.S., and there are so many really awesome ones that a lot of people have never heard of. One of them that I really like, and we didn't get to touch on last time, is the Mount Carbon Walls site. That's in West Virginia. This place has been mystifying even scientists ever since they found it. They still don't know what it's for, why it's there, even who built it, or even when it was built. So I'm just going to go over it because it's just extraordinarily interesting. So it's located on the south side of the Kanawha River in West Virginia. It's a series of sites with stone walls, cairns, earthen mounds, flint quarries, lithic workshops, and several natural features with evidence of human usage in them. There is a total of 6 giant walls on this. It's basically like a rounded hilltop area. And why the walls are there and why they're shaped the way they are is anybody's guess. So the first wall, and I'm going to say, when I say walls, these were not like, cut specifically, blocks cut specifically and then stacked and to make these perfect walls. These are literal walls that were just mounded up, like they were throwing them together as fast as they could. And they're all made of different sizes and have different things. And I actually listed them here because they're interesting.
What's it called?
It's called Mount Carbon Stone Walls Site. It's in West Virginia. So wall 1 is only 2 feet high, but 20 feet at the base. So they just mounded up rocks. And this one is made of carryable rocks. They kind of have a degree of the size of rocks that were used in these different walls. And this one is made of small rocks that could be carried by one person. And just kind of mounded up into the section. But it's U-shaped and it ends. It's around 75 feet in length. So that's your first wall that they found. Wall 2 was 12 to 15 feet wide at the base, 3 to 4 feet high, around 250 feet in length, and ends at a sheer cliff. So they don't know why a wall would go to a sheer cliff. It's also built in a U shape and made of stones that it would take several people to carry. So the rocks are getting bigger on this one.
Okay.
Wall 3 is 5 feet high, 30 feet wide at the base, in a U shape. It's 1,350 feet long. The stone ranges from carryable to several people carrying large. And this one is super interesting. They actually took apart part of it to kind of take an archaeological type of look at it and realized that it had pieces of flint stone shoved into the middle of it.
Weird.
For no reason whatsoever. The other interesting thing is there is flint nearby, but it's literally 200 feet in elevation below the mountaintop that it's on. So they purposely went down 200 feet and walked these pieces of flint up to just put into this wall. And they've never figured out why. Yeah, wall 4 is V-shaped and 222 feet in length, small rocks. Wall 5 is a small strip with more flint chips found inside of this one. And wall 6 is completely straight and is 210 feet long. Now, amongst these, and they're kind of sitting around this hill, kind of pointing at each other. Some are pointing away, the U-shaped ones. Inside all of this and around it, scattered around, are 32 cairns. Now, cairns are the big circles made of stones, and the largest one sits at 33 feet in diameter, and then they go down from there all over the place. Along with a lot of other little features and things kind of sprinkled in here. The interesting thing about the site is that they have no idea what it was used for. It's been completely excavated and looked at. They have never found any pottery, which would attribute it to some kind of a civilization.
Yeah.
Never found any. They also never found anything that would show that maybe the walls used to kind of hold in livestock, maybe. It also shows that it was never used for anything defensive, because the way the walls face out and in and out, it would be ridiculous to try to use it for defenses. They did, however, find hundreds and hundreds of flint projectile points. So like arrow points and stuff like that. However, there are so many of them, and they're so diverse in styles and age and origins, they can't figure out a chronology on any of it. There are flint heads in styles that come from like California, that come from, like Celtic style. They're just like somebody like had a huge collection of them and just threw them out on this hill.
Nice.
Yeah.
So I have seen walls of stacked rocks like that that are modern out here in southern Kansas, central Kansas, where we live. Driving around some of these older communities and stuff, you will find corrals and such made just like these walls. Except, modern sensibilities tend to go towards straight, 90-degree walls and such like that. But it is not an uncommon way to build a wall.
It isn't. It's all the things around it and why the walls were built that way. One more interesting feature to this entire site that they are completely flabbergasted by, they can't imagine why or when or where, but they found a whole bunch of hammerstones, which you would think would go along with all the flint. There was obviously a flint shop nearby where they worked with flint to make weaponry. The problem is that the hammerstones are the style that was used by the prehistoric era people who were supposedly not in the area, and they were made of granite, which is a stone that is not in this area. So they were brought in.
They had to be brought in. And granite is actually a good stone to use for a hammerstone because it is so durable. So I could see that being maybe even traded for or imported. But because, I mean, if you look, and we're discovering this more and every day, a lot of these so-called isolated peoples weren't as isolated as we think. There is a lot of genetic information or evidence out there that there was a lot of intermarrying between these diverse cultures, which means that there was travel. And humans, I mean, what do? We trade. There's commerce. I have this. I can trade it for this. And so they'll walk or ride or what have you. So, yeah, I mean, I totally can see, and I can see the different kinds of heads coming in. Maybe they were trading stuff all over the place. I mean, it makes sense. We bring stuff from all over the world here, and we're not any different than our ancestors, just scale-wise.
Yeah.
So.
Could be.
That makes sense.
I don't know. I want to know what the walls were for. I want to know why there was flint just embedded in
Yeah,
very
just
strategic
willy-nilly.
places.
Yeah.
And where is the pottery? Let's just say, like, we know this was like an area where they were working with flint. They were making weaponry. There has got to be pottery around because they had to have something to drink during the day. They brought meals and things. You know, things had to be carried around. There's always shards of pottery where there were people.
Mhm.
Where's the pottery?
Or stoneware.
Stoneware, you know, anything that would show that, you know, people worked and moved and, you know, lived in this area.
That's really
There
weird.
is
I have
nothing.
never heard of this place either. That's a
Yeah.
good one, Jess.
Yeah. West Virginia's full of sites. But none of them quite as weird as this one.
Yeah, that's
It
really
is. It is pretty weird.
good
Right,
job.
just
All right.
Pam wanted to do one. Thank you.
Sure. I'm going to share a screen, Mark.
All righty.
So this is called Adam's Bridge. It's also known as Rama's Bridge or Ram Setu. And it's between India and Sri Lanka. And according to ancient Indian legend, King Rama built a bridge between India and Sri Lanka more than 1 million years ago. But what appears to be remnants of such a bridge have been seen from satellite images that we can see here, but many say it's a natural formation. There is a doctor, I'm going to call him Dr. B because Badrinarayanan, former director, so sorry, sir, doctor, former director of the Geological Survey of India. He studied the core samples from the bridge, and he was puzzled by the appearance of it because there's boulders on top of like a marine sand layer here, and he surmised that the boulders must have been artificially placed there. There has not been a single natural explanation that has ever been agreed upon by any of the geologists, and dating has been controversial as well. Some say any given part of the bridge, such as the coral samples and stuff, cannot give a true picture of how old the entire bridge is. I just think it's interesting to look at.
And this is between India and where?
Sri Lanka.
All right.
Yeah.
I've got some interesting in a stuff for a different show. I've got some interesting stuff similar to that around the South China Sea and the Sunda Shelf, which is not that far away. And 20,000 years ago, Sumatra, Malaysia, Borneo, and Java were all one landmass.
Mm-hmm.
So
They were.
This would have been much more above water as well.
It would have been. And a lot of the corals in the area that they have dated back to 125,000 years ago. So, there's obviously a long history there. But that would kind of play in with that having more than likely been above water at the time.
So let me show you this picture I've got here real quick. So this is that area I was telling you about, which is actually not that far. So the dark parts that you can see on the screen here, for those of you who are in the chat, you can see Borneo, Sumatra, Malaysia. That dark part, that's all above water at present. This lighter section, this was all above water.
So the lighter section's currently below water?
Currently below water, yes. So that whole area, there is a lot of landmass in that area that was above water geologically not that long ago.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll talk about it in another show, but I'm planning on doing maybe one big show or probably 3 smaller shows. Human beings have been around a lot longer than they used to think. You know, they've got proof of Homo sapiens going back over 300,000 years.
Yep.
It's fairly easy for them to build a bridge out of, well, not easy, but it's fairly practical for you to think that they could have built a bridge out of boulders and whatnot. Some of our ancestors go back much, much farther, 1,000,000 years, and there is proof that, you know, those ancestors of ours had learned to use and control fire. So I'm going to say that, yeah, I would say that it's quite possible that that was a man-made bridge and was above water not that long ago, you know, historically. Well, 20,000 years is still a long time, but geologically it's not very.
To us, it's a long time, but geologically, it's not.
No. So that's, you know, that's pretty cool, actually.
Isn't it neat? I thought it was cool.
No, all right. So,
That's all I got on that one.
oh, you got on that one?
all I got on that one.
Oh, you well. Let me- well, let's go ahead. We're going to go ahead and do some other things that's around the world. We're going to talk about Nan Madol. This is dated to around 12,000 Common Era. Sea level impact is minimal relative to Ice Age melt. Micronesia's area had expanded land areas during the Ice Age. We just talked about that. And then they've got these walls, let me show you, that were stacked.
Nice.
So, and they're pretty old. Look at this picture here. So you can see and you can see where it trails off into the water too. So, the water was lower at one time. Let's see, we got some better pictures. I'm trying to click on the wrong image.
I do that constantly.
Well, no, that's the only real good image I've got of that. So the Pacific Basin probably hides a lot of submerged Paleolithic coastal settlements. And recently, you know, we've talked about this before, I believe, where they were thinking that everybody came over on the land bridge and migrated south. Well, looking at the DNA of South America, a lot of these people came from Polynesian ancestors. So that means they were sailing around on boats.
Yep.
For a long time. So, and they could have come, you know, they could have come from this age. The whole Pacific Basin was smaller. There was much more land mass above water, and recently a group proved that you can navigate the ocean on canoes with nothing more than the stars to guide you. So, yeah. Why wouldn't there be civilizations building walls like that?
Mm-hmm. It's fun because the more sophisticated the DNA sequencing gets, the more we're finding out and refining some of those older theories may not quite stand up as well as they once had.
All right. And see, and we're also getting out of the age where everything was viewed through the lens of religion. Everything had to fit the religious beliefs. So there was a lot of facts and stuff that were just thrown out because, oh, that doesn't fit. So it doesn't, it must be wrong.
Don't bring that up because that doesn't work.
Right. So
We'll just push that over here.
I mean, a lot of stuff they've discovered, in the last 20 years is just amazing. And some of the stuff in the last 10 years is just earth shattering. A lot of this stuff would have been thrown out 20, 30 years ago because it didn't meet the approved timeline.
Yeah.
So, and that's something I want to start talking about probably our next episode. They're finding all kinds of crazy stuff that
They
just
are.
pushes back the start of civilization a long time. So, all right.
I can't remember where I heard that. We may have talked about that before.
We have talked about it before.
Where some of the royalty had rewritten the timeline to make it look like they were in power a lot longer than they were. So, they really tinkered with the age of things and how long they had been there.
But then look at Egypt. Egypt has always said that their civilization went back way farther than they had records for. And they told, Herodotus talked about it. And now we're looking and digging and we're seeing, well, yeah, that looks pretty likely that they were telling the truth.
Well, yeah, look at the Sphinx. It obviously has water damage around the base of it, So it had to be.
Well, and down the walls of the pit.
Yeah, it had to be an area. There had to be water there before.
They said the last time there was enough water to do that in North Africa was about 12 to 13,000 years ago. So, and just look at the poor thing's head. The whole body is all worn out and stuff, and the head looks pretty new.
And it's tiny.
And it's tiny. So it's probably been resculpted several times.
That's what I was going to say.
Yes. We discussed this on the last one because I kind of, I was like, he looks like the dude from Beetlejuice who got his head shrunk.
Yeah, he does look like the shrunken head dude. It's still valid. Things go back a lot farther than they thought. And it's cool that people are actually talking about it now and not trying to sweep it under the rug. So
I would agree.
Let's see.
My turn?
Your turn, yes.
My turn. All right, I'm going to bring it a little bit closer to our home. And I'm going to talk about the mosaic floor in Edmond, Oklahoma.
Ooh, cool.
Oh, that is awesome.
Really big at the time, not really known well outside of our little area. And it's because it didn't get a lot of news coverage because it was kind of pushed under the rug as fast as it came out. So this happened on June 27th, 1969, just outside of Edmond, Oklahoma. There was a group of workmen working road construction, digging right along, and they ran into a mosaic floor, is what they said it looked like. There's actually photos of it. You can get up online and take a look at these. They're black and white, so not that great, kind of grainy, but they're pretty good. So they found it just 33 inches below the surface of the dirt. And in that area, if you know the area, it's all red dirt clay. So they peel up this layer of red dirt clay and find this astonishing sight underneath of it. They think that it was a foundation floor to an unknown structure. Obviously, the design pattern of it was very Roman style, something that's not supposed to be in our area. But Oklahoma is known for having, like the rune stones and all this other stuff. So is it that far-fetched that there was something Roman in there? I don't know.
Well, I mean, really, consider it the fastest way to the interior of North America is up the Mississippi, and one of the major, probably one of the bigger tributaries of that is the Arkansas. And it is, during a lot of the year, navigable. In fact, it's navigable all the way up to Tulsa, I believe. Now, so yeah, why wouldn't you find stuff like that? Because it'd be like a major side road in a city if you considered the North America as a city and the main highway being the Mississippi. That'd be a major thoroughfare as the Arkansas River.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's the easiest way to travel.
So I'll give you an idea of what this thing looked like and was kind of what they were seeing in front of them. And they never unburied it all. I will let you know that. So shit went down badly. This was not looked at properly. So it was comprised of precisely cut stones that had been inlaid to create a distinct crystal pattern. The perfectly smooth stones were set along perfect parallel lines pointing east. Also found was a small stone hammer believed to be left behind by some prehistoric craftsman. Unfortunately, no item found could be tested for carbon-14, so the site went undated. It also went undated because it got covered back up and dug through so quickly. All of the geologists they could pull in the area as quickly as they could all agreed that the floor was man-made. Especially due to the fact that there were guide holes and notches marking where the parallel lines should be put that a builder would obviously follow. You know, they throw those guidelines down, so as they build in, they can follow the lines. Those were there. So
yeah, we still use stuff like that today.
Yeah,
you know.
It was obviously built, and it was a Romanesque design. So here's where the controversy comes in. So they found this, the geologists are like, this is man-made, we need to look at this. Meanwhile, the construction crew was under a really tight deadline. They only had 20 days from the time that they stopped the construction to let everybody in to see it and make a decision on what needed to be done with it. So those 20 days were almost up. And the people who were wanting this stuff put in was like, hey, we need to get going on this. And suddenly this guy named Dr. Bell, the supposed geologist from a college no one's ever heard of, popped up all of a sudden and went, oh, this is natural. And they went, okay, and then dug right through it. That's all it took, was just this one dude that no one's ever heard of from a college no one's ever heard of saying, this is natural. And then they just went right through it. So that
follow the money.
Yeah. So you're going to ask yourself, okay, what is a Roman mosaic floor doing in the middle of Oklahoma? If there was one, wouldn't there have been more? Would it have been like a little area full of buildings or something like that? We'll never know because they refuse to dig any further. In fact, they don't even know how big that floor was. They never dug it completely out. They opened up I think it was like a 10 by 10 foot section, and they knew it went further. You could see the design kept going. They never uncovered it all. And then they just bulldozed it. Ah!
Yeah. That's sickening.
There is a theory out there that Cleopatra's son and his followers came to the New World to hide out, intending to go back and take back Egypt, but never made it. So a Roman villa. Now, keep in mind that Cleopatra and the whole Ptolemaic dynasty were Greeks, basically. So the thought that they would have had possibly Roman defectors with them, or people who were going to get killed if they stayed, yeah, I can totally see that. Because it's not such a far-fetched theory. We know that they could make the voyage. And then we've found Roman coins and stuff here and there around the continent. Like I said, the fastest way up would be up through the Mississippi and down the Arkansas.
Yep, for sure. And they weren't. There was evidence of them being Cleopatra's son being, I want to say, as close as Illinois. So they weren't that far away. It would make sense because that would be honestly, you've still got. That's pretty much a viable route, to
I
come.
don't know. Go straight up to Mississippi and see how close you
Yeah.
get to Illinois.
Oh yeah, you're right there.
Yeah. So, and you would think if it was several groups traveling together, sailing together, or heading to the same place, those Roman defectors or what have you would probably have peeled off to have their own little group,
Hmm.
while the Egyptians and the Potomac descendants and whatnot would have gone on someplace else possibly.
Hmm.
So yeah, that makes sense with those theories. And like I said, it's totally unproven theory, but then you find those coins and stuff like this floor, whatever. They exist, and like I said, a lot of it was wiped out because nobody. There was also a movement. Nobody wanted to upset the apple cart that the new world was new and that nobody had ever been here before.
Yep.
But the savages.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there's lots of evidence that lots of people came here and did all kinds of things. Like I said, all the copper that came from the north central United States, from I believe the Illinois area, wasn't it?
It's from Michigan, actually. Copper.
Michigan.
Yes.
So Michigan copper ended up all the way around the world.
It did.
Somehow.
Yeah. Yep.
And the chemical composition of copper can almost always, you can trace that back to the region where it came from. So it's all around the world. Somebody had to be here. Somebody had to take it.
Yep. Julie said so many don't want to know the truth. That's true because it doesn't profit them. And that's the main reason that the truth is normally covered.
Well, yeah, and like I said, it boils down to money a lot of times.
Mhm.
Grant money. I don't want to destroy my mentor's legacy, or this guy's tenured. We've got to listen to what he says because he knows everything.
For sure.
That sort of thing. And yeah, I get all that, but isn't the truth more important to follow? Julie's right. Money does rule the world.
Mark, do you mind for the next one up? Do you mind going first and then me following you?
Sure.
Okay, I'll be right back.
Okay. Bye, Pam. Let's see. All right, let's talk about Baalbek or Baalbek.
Mm-hmm.
It's an archaeological site in eastern Lebanon, and it has great big Roman temples. Let me see if I've got a picture here. I do, and I'm going to share it because I now remember how to do that because I always forget for the first time. Look at the big old temples here in Lebanon.
Yeah.
And so the big deal about this is, see these stones that this is built on. Man, it's beautiful, even today. However many centuries later. The Heliopolis, city of the sun, it's 85 miles northeast of Beirut. Traces back to the 8th millennium BCE. But what's interesting about it are these stones here. Some of the biggest stones ever moved. And so the theory is that this temple was built on top of these Paleolithic monolith stones that were used as the base. So that's kind of what makes it artificial. Look at the size of these things. They're huge. And you can see, look at these walls here, which have got more normal sized stones. And this stone is huge. And the base of this whole thing is made out of these giant stones. So, but, you know, of course, the Romans were well known for doing amazing things with cranes, rollers, ropes, slaves, because unlike the Egyptians, the Romans used lots of slaves. That was actually a common punishment. If you broke a law, you might get punished with incarceration, but most likely they just use you for labor. But yeah, the theory is that a lot of these large stones that this site is built on were from pre-Roman times, that they were already there and they just reused them. And there's actually, while that is a fringe theory, there are lots of examples of civilizations building right on top of the old one. I mean, go look at London, for instance. How many sites that they have found under London digging that are historically very valuable, but at the time they just said, "Oh, let's just build over it."
Well, I mean, why wouldn't you?
And why wouldn't
if the infrastructure is already there, you're going to take the easiest path, you know?
Right.
Build on top of it. It's obvious that this worked for a society before, so it should work for us. And build on top of what's already there, you know? Take the path, you know, that's the easiest.
Yeah, I mean, I've got this nice base. What am I going to put on it?
Yeah,
I mean,
like if I'm gonna like put up a tent, if I'm out camping and I'm gonna put up a tent, and I come across an area that's, you know, like rocky and grass, or if I look over and there's like a stone slab there,
yeah,
I'm gonna pick the slab area because I know, you know, my tent won't be muddy and mucky. It'll be a nice space to put it on. Good to go. So you're obviously gonna take the easiest path, and you're gonna, you know, these older, you know, people who weren't so much interested in the history of the area like we are, where we would be like, "Oh, don't touch it. We need to investigate it." They were just like, "Oh, well, somebody else built here. Let's do it."
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, we've got examples of that right close to us. You go across the river out here on 6th Street and go along the riverbank, you're going to find all these old foundations, steps going into where a house used to be. And there are these nice flat areas that would be perfect to set up a tent or camp or what have you. And why wouldn't you?
It happens.
Yeah, for sure.
Why wouldn't you? And that's exactly right. Especially if you are the Romans and you are using wooden cranes and ropes and rollers and muscle labor. This is already there. We don't need to do a thing but build on it. So
smart way to do it, for sure.
Yeah, like I say, why would you? And like I said, there's examples of it all over the world. I mean, most old cities, when you start digging under it, you find another city. And there's places where the city is built on a hill. It's not a hill. It's the city that used to be there before they built on top of it again.
Yep.
And then it may have another one under that.
And a lot of them do, you know. It did.
Later.
Yeah, the further down they go, the more they find.
Go to Constantinople. The city of Constantinople is underneath Istanbul.
Yeah.
So
It happened in the States too. I want to say it's in Washington. Where is it? Where the tunnels are? Is it under Seattle?
Seattle, those were dug though.
They were, but there were buildings that were down below that they built on top of.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah.
To bring them on up to street level and things. So yeah.
Well, and go to just in Missouri, where they basically filled in over a town to build the town back on top of it.
Mhm.
Eureka Springs?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Eureka Springs.
Yeah. So basically, there's another town underneath the town that's there.
There
It's not that old.
No, it's not. And it's interesting you say that. I was talking to Sean Fitzgibbon just a couple of weeks ago on the In Other Words podcast, and he's the one that he wrote the graphic novel for the Crescent Hotel, and he was talking about underground Eureka and everything that was down there and how things have been built up on top of it.
Mhm.
So yeah, pretty neat.
I've been in a little bit of it. I took a tour the last time we were there with my husband.
Cool.
And it was part of the haunted Eureka Springs tour, and you get to go through part of the underground. It's really neat.
That's awesome.
Ian up here says there is a modern office block in London that has a Roman wall in the basement, totally out of place yet totally in place.
Wow.
Yeah, and there is a lot of that in the British Isles, where stuff is built on top of Roman foundations or Roman bathhouses. And they've dug underneath them and found whole complexes underneath buildings that were built in much closer to modern times. It really does happen. So, and what gets me is a lot of these scientists and archaeologists will say, well, no, that didn't happen. They built it themselves. Why wouldn't they do it? We still do it today.
Yeah, not necessarily.
We do it today. What makes you think that they did it any different?
Look at how quickly things are forgotten. A generation's the average of 20 years. So it just takes, if one person knows about a secret door that goes into this underground tunnel that everyone else has forgotten about, when that person's gone, if they don't pass that information along, it's lost. It's hidden. No one knows it's there.
And like I said, how many people in this town know about Enosville across the river?
It's wild. You would think more do because just across the state line.
St. Paul.
St. Paul and
St.
Enosville.
Paul, yeah.
How many people in this area know about those two towns?
Yeah.
We do.
Yeah.
But
not very many realize that St. Paul is an actual town.
Yeah, and you can get on Google Earth when there's not many trees, and you can see foundations.
Mm-hmm.
And you go out there walking in the woods, you'll stumble right over them.
Yeah.
So, I'd love to see LiDAR of that area.
That would be neat because, especially, we know where the old hotel was, in the saloon and everything. We know where those were, and those are right up on the road. So, it would be interesting to see if you can, with LiDAR, to see what you could tell is there for now.
Well, and they are finding all over the United States and all over Great Britain, all over Europe, the Middle East. LiDAR is finding all kinds of sites that there's so many of them that they don't even know where to start excavating.
Mm-hmm.
LiDAR scan is about all they have to show that this was there. They found recently they found several Roman travel camps. I forget along what river. There's just so much stuff coming out that they are finding with LiDAR. And then there's cities and settlements all across the Sahara that have disappeared since, it used to be green. It used to be savanna, grassy with lakes, giant freshwater lakes out there. And it's all gone, but they keep finding evidence. They found 7,000-year-old mummies that are human but don't aren't related to any modern human genotype. So, what all else is lost?
Yeah.
And that's kind of why I wanted to talk about this stuff. What else is lost? And we're never going to know everything because there's no records. There probably were records at one time, but you go 10, 12,000 years back, nothing's going to survive.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, 10,000 years from now, if we had a nuclear war and civilization ended right now, 10,000 years, you wouldn't find much.
Mm-mm. No, you wouldn't, because everything would be gone except for things that we see now, like the solid rock and,
So, well, I mean, you'd probably find some concrete foundations because we build a lot with concrete and it's pretty durable. I mean, we've been using concrete for thousands of years. The ancient Egyptians used concrete extensively, and then the Romans perfected it. And most people don't realize Roman concrete is actually superior to modern concrete.
It is, yeah.
Because they used volcanic ash and the chemical structure made it set up better, and it's just stronger and more weather resistant. So, yeah, I mean, that's about all you'd find is,
I was
the
trying
glass would wear down into beads,
yeah.
sand. Wouldn't be much left.
I was trying to quickly grab this picture. Here we go. This is better.
Ian said that wall's in an underground parking garage. You can
that's what I was trying to get a better picture of it, because the one that I had pulled up was not big enough, and I found one. I just got to get it to a different window here, because it's kind of cool. This is what Ian's talking about in the chat. There we go.
There you go.
That's really neat.
Yeah, there's a Roman wall.
Yeah. It's in an underground parking garage
And
in London.
2,000 years ago, it was above ground.
Yeah.
It doesn't take long for stuff like that to get covered up.
Mm-hmm.
The Thames comes out a couple times and leaves silt over it, and it's gone. And what we think is a foundation is actually the top of a wall.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Very neat.
yeah, very cool, very cool. All right. So are we ready to go on to the next?
Yeah, let me pull up another picture here. Take me just a second.
No worries.
There it is. Okay, it's down there. There we go. So this is kind of a artist rendering of what the area does look like. It's the Yonaguni Monument. It's in Japan. It's underwater rock formations off the coast of Japan. It was discovered in the 80s. Features steps and flat plains, leading some researchers to believe they're the ruins of 5,000-year-old submerged civilization. Others view it, like we were talking with Mark backstage, others view it as a natural, albeit highly regular tectonic phenomenon. So it's pretty neat. It's also known as the Yonaguni submarine ruins. And there's a professor emeritus, from the faculty of the science at the University of Ryukyu. I can hear it in my head and it sounds fabulous. It's just when it tries to come out of my mouth. That claims the formations are man-made stepped monoliths. His name is Masaki Kimura, and his ideas are disputed. And there's been a lot of debate on both sides, whether is this actually man-made or is it a more natural phenomenon. There's a lot to it. There's like a couple of spots that appear to have turtle statues on it. There's an arched gate that you can see in one part, and it does appear to have a road around it. There's different spots that really do appear to be staircases that lead up to it. It's pretty fascinating. You can dive in this area if you're into that.
It's super shallow.
It is.
It's super shallow.
Yes, and there's a large population of hammerhead sharks around it too, so that makes it a really popular place to go, especially during the winter months to dive.
I wonder if they're related. My granddad always called me a hammerhead. Oh, wait. So my thought on it is I can't say one way or another. I can see both sides of the argument, but I can also see the third argument that it may have, because it's super shallow. It wouldn't have,
And that's another thing
years.
that kind of plays into the possibility that it is man-made.
So it's if it is man-made, it's dated to 10,000 years plus.
Mm-hmm.
So you go back 12,000 years, this was possibly above water.
Yep.
There's no reason it couldn't be both. So our ancestors and us even today, we're real good about using stuff that we find.
Mm-hmm.
So if somebody found something cool like that and says, oh, well, we can make it into this, let's do some cool things with it.
Yeah.
Put a road around it. Let's put some houses on top of it. There's I can't remember, down south there's a floodplain and there's all these hills, and then you find these houses on top of them, and the hills themselves were, I can't remember if they were burial mounds or the sites of cities that were actually built up to get them above the floodplain.
Mm-hmm.
So could that be something?
Maybe.
It might be. I don't know.
And like you said, if this is a natural feature, they easily could have come in and, created the steps, created the stairs, created everything and just built up on top of it.
Well, yeah, and if some of those features were already there, they could have just brought them out to make them more usable.
Yeah, for sure.
There's nothing saying that it couldn't be a combination of both of those theories, which, now that I think about it, is actually not that far-fetched.
No, it's not. And there's actually been some pottery and stone tools and things found around Yonaguni too. So that leads even more credence to the fact that it had some type of civilization around it.
Yeah, I mean, it could very well have been just above water.
Mm-hmm.
It actually looks like it would have been a good place to dock a boat if it had been just sticking out of the water.
Yeah,
so,
sure.
And it's shallow enough. It's shallow enough that free divers could actually do something there. So if part of it was above water at one time, and it's super clear too.
Mm-hmm.
Free divers could have, made steps to get in and out of boats or what have you. My camera just decided to
take off on its own.
Apparently I made one of the hand gestures that controls it.
Oh.
And didn't realize that I made the hand gesture, and it made
That's funny. So his when Kimura first estimated that the monument, he estimated it must be at least from 8,000 BCE. And that would have dated it to a period where it would have been above water. But in a report that he gave to the Pacific Science Congress in 2007, he revised that estimate to more of a 2,000 to 3,000 years ago, because the sea level then was close to current levels. And it's not that, it's only 16 feet underwater right now. So it's not that low. And he suggested that after construction, tectonic activity caused it to submerge even more below sea level. But he feels like he can identify as part of this, and it's not all shown right here either. He can identify a pyramid, he can identify a castle, the roads, a monument, and even a stadium as part of it. So, and he even suggested that the site may be a remnant of the mythical lost continent of Mu.
Well, and
Yeah.
Ooh,
you know,
moo.
we've talked about that. I mean, we showed part of it in my Zealandia pictures that
Mhm.
I had. So there was a lot of land out there in the Pacific that was above water.
Yeah.
And in Japan, it's a volcanic island, so you have the land rises and falls, as the things shift and pressure goes down with the volcanic activity and stuff. Yeah, why not?
Mhm.
Why not?
It's a pretty fun one. If you're bored, look it up. There's a whole bunch more pictures out there.
There's lots of TV shows on that where they've got lots of good video.
Yeah, there's a lot of YouTube.
There is a lot of current
Yes.
sometimes. You got to watch when you go because it can wash you out to sea.
Mhm.
But it is super shallow. I mean, not so shallow you can walk on it, but it's shallow enough that you can free dive it,
Mhm.
or at least the top parts of it.
Yeah, it's only 16 feet down, so yeah, it's not bad. And it looks like on this, it's showing the deepest. It's 25 meters ish.
Yeah.
Or
So what is that? 75 feet at the bottom to get to the bottom of it. 75, 78 feet.
sure,
Well, a meter is a little over 3 feet. So yeah.
sounds fantastic.
Yeah.
I will agree with that.
No conversion, Pam. I wasn't going to take a stab at it either.
Exact math, I don't do very good, but generalizing something like that, I'm
No, yeah, I'm not good at that.
I can give you a fairly good guesstimate without actually getting a calculator out.
But
All right.
that's a fun one. I like that one.
All right. So, I'm going to talk about Montana. So, distinctly the Sage Wall and the monument monoliths area. It's really, really interesting. I don't know if you all at home have ever seen pictures of the Sage Wall, but it's insane. The size of this thing and the rocks in it. So, it's near Butte, Montana. And this wall is composed of these massive granite stone blocks that are kind of intricately stacked and aligned in straight up and down lines. They come in kind of slightly different shapes, but they're just so interesting looking. The wall spans about 275 feet with blocks weighing up to 91 tons each. Ground penetrating radar that they've done shows that it actually sits on some kind of a foundation underneath of it. It had like it looks like there was a foundation built to support this thing. A lot of people are like, well, it's natural. It happened during the Ice Age. The interesting thing is though, you can see there's sections of the wall where a block or two have fallen away or fallen back behind, and they have found the nubs and cups. So the nubs and cups are something that builders used to do in order to keep stone walls together. They would, when they carved them out, one side would have like a ball that came out of it, and the other side would have a cup dug down into it. So when you slid the blocks together, they would hold each other. It was a way to kind of like Lego them together a little bit. And they have proof of these. Wherever these blocks have fallen away, you can see the nubs and cups where they connected at. Super, super interesting.
Well, and see how much of that is. How old have they estimated this to be?
They don't actually know.
Okay, so if you go back again about 12,000 years, and so this isn't very far from the scablands of Washington, Oregon, and Idaho. So there are giant washouts. I mean, as big as some states, where water all of a sudden rushed down and dug out these great big valleys when all this meltwater came down. So anything in that region was probably affected about. So it would have washed all the other signs of civilization, unless they were these giant stone blocks like you're talking about. It would have washed everything out, and even the giant stone block, it would have washed. So I don't have any real good pictures of the Scabla. But yeah, some of these ripples, the ripples made from that wash are the size of skyscrapers. So when you watch how water washes out in a ditch and something, you see the little ripples. Think how fast that water is going. Think how big that wash has to be to make them as big as a skyscraper. So that all washed out 12,000 years ago ish.
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 I love the ish at the end. Yeah, so the Sage Wall, it's just a battle. Everyone, everyone's like, it was obviously man-made. There's cups and balls. They're stacked. There's a foundation to it. There's nothing else in the area that looks like this. But there are megaliths all over this area right next to the wall. So it's kind of leaning towards, was this an area that was purposely built as a type of area to worship or, what have you? I'd mentioned at the last show, we were talking a lot about dolmens, the tables, the megalithic tables that people built as like their markers, like I was here. There's like 20 some of them just in the area. Wow. Different styles. There are huge, they call them amphitheaters, where the rock looks like it's been completely dug out away from the hill, and large statues dug into the side of them. A little hard to see now because they're so weathered. But they've even like shown where they matched up with statues from as far away as like India. The whole area is exceptional. So if you want to like take a little fun deep dive on megalithic structures, hit the Butte, Montana area and just look at the insanity. Some of the dolmens are raised up 40 to 50 feet in the sky.
Oh, wow. That's huge. Absolutely huge.
Like the Tizer dolmen. Holy cow. The Evergreen dolmen, the Tunnel dolmen, the Tower dolmen, they're insane, and all different shapes and sizes. Some of them have boulders on tops.
Oh
some
my
of them have
gosh, I had
slabs.
no idea. Here, let me move it to another window and I'll pop it up. That's cool.
Yeah, so I mean, depending on how old it is, there may have been a lot more to it. There probably was a whole lot more to it.
That's huge.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah. I love this one. This one's called the Tunnel Dolmen because you can actually go through it and it takes you to another dolmen. I don't know if I can get it past my light.
Yeah, I see it. That's crazy.
Yeah, there's cairns that cover the entire tops of mountains. Full-size cairns. It's just insane. But like I said, there's a faction of people in the area that are like, oh, all of this is absolutely natural.
Because they don't want to think about it.
This is not natural.
That does not look natural, no.
No. And this, let me get back down to it. That's not natural.
That sure don't look natural.
Yeah. One of the ones I really like, and you can't see it in this picture, I didn't have time to pull up photos and stuff today, but this one is called the Whale Dolmen, and this is a picture of some people standing underneath of it. Let me see if I can get it right.
I see it.
Okay. So if you look up at the ceiling, there's an etching.
Yeah, it looks.
There is a full etching of a whale on the underside of that in Montana.
Yeah.
What the hell would people in Montana know about a whale?
Yeah, no kidding.
Well, like I said, I really think people underestimate how much people did travel. Our ancestors got around because they traded furs, they trade goods from the sea. We found seashells way far inland of the ocean. But how did they get there? I mean, they were traded. It's very obvious.
Mm-hmm. This one they called the disc dolmen because instead of having regular legs, they used a whole bunch of spiraling discs to support the top boulder.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Holy cow.
That's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Yeah. And all have, it looks like it had activity where, things were carved, things had supports made for them to be fit into a, particular area. Oh, this is going to need a stone right here to support its weight from this side. Let's stick that in there. Things were obviously quite built, so it's really interesting. There was way too much on that. Like, we could probably do a whole show on just the Butte, Montana site. Really, really interesting. If you guys want to deep dive something really cool with a lot of megalithic structures, check out the Sage Wall and Butte, Montana.
Ian says, kind of funny how Europeans chuckle at Americans' sense of history when stuff like this gets so little exposure. We're so alike. I mean, yeah. I mean, and there was an actual attempt to cover a lot of this stuff up in North America because they didn't want to think about the savages having any kind of civilization.
Well, if you couldn't call them savages, you couldn't wipe them out.
You couldn't
steal their land.
Move them and take their stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, it is what it is. It happens. I mean, that's just humans being humans, which means they're kind of dicks.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, we can be just as bad as we can be good, and so that's quite a bit of in between there. All right. Let's see. I guess it's my turn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think we got time for one more.
So, yeah, we're running pretty close to the end. I'm going to do. Well, you know what? Let's throw the big one out since we're wrapping this up. Göbekli Tepe.
Oh, good
is
Lord.
definitely an out-of-place structure. And it is a cluster of a whole bunch of structures. They haven't even started excavating half of them.
And they're not going to.
And they're not going to. Because some of these are built on top of the old structures. They'd have to destroy what they found.
No, they're not going to because they've shut it down.
So
they have shut down excavations and they're going to backfill them.
They have found
That's crazy.
a whole bunch of these tepes all around this region, and they are finding more and more all the time. This looks like this was not an isolated site, that there were quite a few of them, and they were inhabited. So this shows a civilization then dating around 9600 BCE. So 12,000 years ago. Again, we're getting to that magic 12,000 years.
Yeah.
So there is all kinds of stuff. If you get on YouTube and whatnot, all these new sites they are finding that are very similar with the same sort of architecture as the Göbekli Tepe site. They're all over the region. And it is crazy.
That's cool.
So this is the big one. And, you know, I don't. Most of our viewers and listeners are familiar with Göbekli Tepe, but if you are not, get online and start researching all these other sites that they are finding around this area. It is insane. And they're finding the pottery, they're finding the stone tools and whatnot. I mean, it was a Stone Age civilization, but they're pretty sure now it was a civilization. These weren't just nomads who decided to build this thing here. They lived in the area. So I find that probably we could probably do a whole show on we probably should at some point, this whole area, what they're finding in this whole region.
That'd be cool.
Around Turkey.
Yeah.
Because not just one site, there's a bunch of them.
There's a stone cairn. There's a giant stone circle that can only be seen from one of the hills just outside of Göbekli Tepe. It's like it was like 80 some feet across. And the way that it was constructed, you could only see it from the top of this hill. It was one of the supposed worshiping sites. That's just like one of the things in the area. Like, it's not even just Göbekli Tepe. It's like...
There's a bunch of stuff.
Oh, and it's fascinating because it doesn't seem to matter, like, what field you're in. Astronomers and... people who are studying, Egyptian stuff and people who study this over here, they all find something at Göbekli Tepe that goes with what they're studying. They're like, why is this here?
Right. Absolutely. But I was freaked out watching all the stuff about all these other sites. And this is stuff that has been out on national television. So it's not like, where's your evidence? They got video of all these different sites, and they're going like, this is just like Göbekli Tepe, only it's older or it's newer.
Yeah.
And you can tell where it's grown.
Oh.
It is absolutely insane.
Enzo said nomads living hand to mouth. Hey, let's build this big area with relief carvings, right?
Right. And let's build a dozen of them within 100 miles of the place. Or more.
Yeah. And they have no idea how big Göbekli Tepe is.
Yeah.
They only have a little bit of it uncovered. So
and Göbekli Tepe is built on top of more.
On top of more. Which, unfortunately, we'll never get to know about.
Yeah, because you'll destroy the other trying to get to it. And it's just crazy.
It is.
Yeah.
So, well, that's all I've got for tonight. I think we've probably...
I have much more, but we don't have time.
I know, and I do want to probably go back, and I want to talk about Göbekli Tepe at some point.
That'd be cool.
I'm going to hit on next time we get together. I want to start talking about the Kalimbu structure and several other things of Lombos Cave. And all these things that they're finding, the Kalimbu Falls structure is made out of interlocking wood logs that were shaped to fit like a log cabin. They're dated about 476,000 years ago.
It's like really old Lincoln logs.
Yes, really old Lincoln logs. And so...
Quite big.
Yeah, I want to try to go down that path and more history that was lost, and that we're finally getting an inkling of, what could have existed.
Enzo said, makes you wonder what they found under there that they don't want anyone else to know about. Big time.
Yeah. That's absolutely true. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they were expecting to find these other sites. And now they don't know what to do because there's a bunch of them.
They're like, oh crap.
Yeah, there's more.
Yeah. Göbekli Tepe is only about 600 kilometer from Derinkuyu.
That's that underground city.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, that's right. I was like, that sounds familiar, but
I
I'm
can't remember how many people they estimated lived there.
yeah,
It was in the thousands for
Yeah.
a long period of time.
Yes.
So, and these were put together about the time of that last big meltwater surge. So, I mean,
Derinkuyu.
go figure. All right, that's a wrap for tonight. We'll get busy and get after this again in 2 weeks. And don't forget to stop by and watch Border Town Strange a week from Wednesday,
Yep.
where we were going to be doing part 2 of the Rendlesham incident.
Yes.
So stay tuned for that. That'll be a lot of fun. One of my
Yeah.
pilot friends at work was listening to it, and he cannot wait to hear the rest of it.
Fun.
It's gonna get crazy.
I know. Yeah.
Enzo said it was Derinkuyu was large enough to have sheltered 20,000 people together with their livestock and food stores.
Yeah.
Ooh, stinky.
Yeah, it was big. It's big.
For
So,
sure.
all right, guys. Well, everybody have a good night. Thanks for tuning in and watching us and hanging out with us in the chat. And for those of you who are listening on podcast, thank you for downloading and listening to us ramble. So with that being said, good night, everybody.
Good night.
night.